Hello, everybody, and welcome to this exclusive webinar by two platforms, Career Mudra and MediStudyGo. I'm Dr. Palak Bhandari, the founder of MediStudyGo, which is a platform created to help dental and medical students revise faster. So, we are going to plan today's session in four parts. First, we are going to have a panel discussion where we'll have Dr. Aishwarya, Dr. Pratiksha, and once Dr. Parthvi joins in to answer all our questions. After that, and the best part about this session today is the personalized Q&A, right? So if you have questions that are there till the end of the session, please go to the breakout rooms, get your questions answered, and they'll be more than happy to help you. Let me give a quick introduction about Dr. Aishwarya. So, Dr. Aishwarya has done her BDS from MCOTS Bangalore and was always certain that she wants to do her master's from a government college. In fact, she will share her experience of how she enjoyed her internship here and then spent an entire year after internship to prepare for the NEET MDS exam. So, she's seen both the worlds, the one where you're doing your internship, the one where you have all the time to study for NEET. She's now pursuing her post graduation in prosthodontics from GDC Trivandrum. We will also hear from Dr. Parthvi, who graduated from MCOTS Mangalore with two academic gold medals and the award for overall excellence. MDS, she's doing it at Savita Dental College in conservative dentistry and endodontics. She will share her perspective of how you can make your plan achievable, right? So, she will basically be speaking about how you can take these 2 months and ensure that you are able to study well with the limited amount of time that you have. And we have Dr. Pratiksha, who is very, very experienced. So, I would like to introduce Dr. Pratiksha from Career Mudra. She has guided more than 10,000 students through this MDS journey for the last 5 years. And she has understood how to maximize out of the rank you get. Which college to choose, what is the process, all the intricacies that probably we are not experienced to answer. She's here to help us with that. So thank you so much, everybody, for joining in. And let's have a very wonderful session with a lot of brainstorming. Yeah, very excited. Now begin the panel wherein we are going to have questions short and let the speakers answer it. So, Aishwarya, the first question is definitely for you, something that everybody has been asking. What was your overall strategy for the last 2 months before NEET MDS?
For the last 2 months, what I keep telling everybody is you have to divide the 2 months into three groups. 1 month, then the second month into two halves. Where in the last half, which is 30 days, 15 and 15 days. So in the last 15 days, all you have to do is question papers, previous year papers, whichever app you're choosing. It could be any app, any course that you're taking. You just go through all the questions from those, mock exams that you're giving in the last 15 days. And before that, in the first month, you will do a quick revision of all the subjects, mainly dental subjects, then comes the medical subjects. You can mix and match according to your wavelength of studying. So in the first month, you will be going revising the entire course. Yeah. So after the 1 month, in the first 15 days that you have in the second month, you will be going through a quick revision of if you have made any notes, you go through the notes, and subjects you're still unsure of, or subjects you are sure that you need to go through this again. Let's say maybe oral path or even ortho. So those kind of subjects you will go through again in the first 15 days. Then the last 15 days is for paper revision. That's how I did my preparation in the last 2 months.
All right. So, would you also like to add a segment of what you did 1 year before? That is when you were when you did not have time when you were doing your internship, and obviously you did this strategy when you had already studied all the subjects, right?
Yeah, this was like during my internship. I didn't really do So during my internship, I didn't really do any preparation. I purchased Pulse, but then I didn't really start studying. I had studied a little bit of oral pathology. That's it. Then after internship in the month of April, by mid-April, I had started the preparation. And then once or twice, in the beginning, you take time for each subject and you do it properly. That is very important. But when we say properly, it's not like you're going to do it once and then remember it for the just 8 months. That's not going to happen. You just do it once, mark the things that you feel important, use highlighter or pens or whatever you have, make some sticky notes. That's what you do in the first or second study. Then after you are, on a level, like you've reached a point where you have an idea what is given where. You don't know everything exactly, but you know where to find it. So that is a situation that you'll be left in the last 2-3 months. And that's when your quick revision is going to help.
That was insightful. So, how many hours did you study daily in the last 1 month? And did you focus more on revision or on new topics?
No, definitely not new topics. Do not open new topics in the last 2 months because this is very vast. It's never going to end. You're always going to find new topics. Even one day before the exam, you're going to find new topics, and in the exam, you'll find more new topics.
I'll
So
mute.
it's not advisable. Yeah. It's not advisable to start new topics, especially in the last 2 months. All you have to do is keep revising. So even when you're revising, no, you will feel you're finding more and more new topics in the pages you've already studied. So you just focus on those things. And number of hours as such, I had a study partner. So we used to study for like almost 11, 12 hours. We used to mix and match things. We not just theory. You mix it with MCQs, then little bit of theory, then some of app questions, or you change the app and do some different questions. You do picture-based questions. So whenever you're drained out, you just keep mixing it up. So average of 11, 12 hours in the last 2 months.
Okay. My next question is for Dr. Pratiksha. You have seen so many students in the last 5 years. So I'm sure you've seen smart studying and people who are studying for like long hours the entire year. So do you have any tips for smart studying?
For smart studying, I would suggest Palak that you can definitely go for a quick revision. Like if you have some notes handy, because I'll tell you one thing, like what happens is that students they keep on making notes throughout the year. And they are around 150, 200 pages, which is not possible to study in the end. So I would suggest that if they can grab something quick, which is easy to go, which is like compact, hardly you can say 100 pages or 50 pages, because it can't be 20 or 10 pages also, but that would be good. And as Dr. Aishwarya said, that you have to just keep on revising that and not add anything new. Because every year the syllabus is getting improvised. Every year there are new questions. You cannot get hold of everything. And it's better to just go through image-based questions from somewhere you can it's more graphical and not monotonous. Like you're reading whole day, you can mix and match up things in the end. That would help students more.
Yes. Since you're not passively studying, you're trying to actively do something with it.
Yeah. And second thing is that Palak, not last year only we had one student who got oral surgery. So she got enrolled with us, and she told me one thing very frankly, that she was not a very government kind of aspirant. She was inclined towards oral surgery more, and it did not matter to her because she was already a practicing dentist. So she told me that I wanted smart study in the end because I could not get time. So for her, qualifying was a very big thing. A lot of students here are just to qualify. Not everybody aims for government college because they're not able to do that. And even to qualify, you need to have that level of preparation. And it's not that easy in this examination.
Yeah, Aishu would know, right? Because she's done both.
Yeah.
The perspective of a student who's,
Yes.
qualified versus what happens when you get a rank like hers.
Yeah.
So, Aishwarya, since your rank is so good, what was your revision strategy and how many times did you revise before the exam?
So revise as such, if you ask me how many times did you do pulse, dental subjects, I would have done pulse for a minimum of 8 to 9 times. And medical subjects, 3 or 4 times, because at the end I didn't have a lot of time. But revision as such, all this 8 to 9 times in the beginning, 3-4 times, it feels like studying for the first time. So revision as such, it should be 4-5 times minimum you'll have to revise, because you'll have to get a hold of, things that is given in the pulse. At least pulse, whatever book you're following for the exam, you just stick to it completely. It's not like every time you revise, you have to go back and read every single answer. You just keep solving MCQs, and sometimes you'll feel like, okay, this is some basic concept that I'm not able to answer. That's when you go back and you read a little bit. When you're doing the initial studying, no, it's important to, for specific topics, not everything, that will waste a lot of time. For specific topics, you can go back to the books that you've referred in your UG and you can read about it, because there are certain very important topics, like say in oral path, you'll have some important topics which you need to know in detail. So that you do in the beginning, and towards the end, I have written a lot of points in my pulse. Like my pulse is entirely scribbled. So you do that, and at the end, you just quickly see those points whenever you're revising. You don't go and do every single line from pulse at the end.
So you mentioned that there are topics that are must read, right? So if you could like little bit elaborate on the must read topics and which subjects contributed the most marks in your exam, you know? They say, right, the 80-20 rule. So what was that 80% that you should focus on?
That would be 80% dental and 20% medical subjects. But the thing is, when you're doing medical subjects, you don't have to go so much in detail. Like especially for so other than ANAT is something that I did from Chaurasia, and that will give you a clearer idea. So when you pick ANAT topics, you always go back and read it once or twice from Chaurasia in the beginning, not now. So when you do that, and when you come to Pulse and read the synopsis, it makes it easier. So in ANAT topics like, basic topics like tongue, larynx, muscles of mastications, those are the questions that you can definitely expect from ANAT specifically. And when it came to subjects like medicine, general medicine, you don't go back to your book and read. They have given very good content in the papers in the end. The description given in the answers for each paper in medicine is very good. So you just read them through and get an idea. When it comes to dental subjects, the things I used to go back and read was mainly in oral pad. Those, not syndromes. Syndromes are given very nicely in synopsis. Certain, where did I get from? Certain diseases, recurrent after ulcer sort of herpes, all those things we used to go back, and certain bone disorders. Bone disorders are something that you read from Schaefer's and you get a good idea. So those disorders those prob diseases, we used to go back and read from the book, and then rest go on with the synopsis. And for pedo and endo topics like avulsion is something that you can really expect questions from. So certain topics, when you keep on seeing it repeatedly in Pulse, those kind of questions you go back and you even listen to a lecture or YouTube video or anything you're comfortable with.
Yes. So Dr. Pratiksha, somebody has asked that if my subject is weak in a particular subject, like, I've never really studied it, how should I manage my time?
Right now, Palak, as we have seen in many coaching centers also, they say that you should divide your whole day into 3 parts. And when I was preparing, I did not take up MDs. What I used to do is that you can divide, if you're studying for 12 hours, let's say, or divide it into 3, you can do your revision so that it boosts your confidence for the day. In the second half, you can go for the backlog. And in the third half, you can just take 2-3 hours in a day and do PYQs, like last year PYQs. And nowadays, coaching centers have this custom modules, custom Q bank, where you can just create the tags and easily do the PYQs and do the question banks of the last year or last to last year. And especially nowadays, I have heard that from 2017 to 2024, the paper is more clinically oriented. So students should definitely go for those questions rather than those single liners that used to come previously. The pattern has changed a lot in the coming years.
So that was my next question to you, that what is
Yeah.
it that you're expecting in terms of this year's pattern? And, overall, how do you think the exam will be?
Yeah, actually, Palak, see, in 2022, when I appeared, the paper was, I can say, easy. But then in 23, 24, it was quite moderate. And even in 21, the paper was quite moderate because people were adapting to this pattern. And in colleges also, we are not that clinically oriented taught. And once you read things clinically, it's more easier to answer it rather than just mugging up things. What people do is like they directly jump into Pulse. But you need to have a very strong foundation before doing Pulse. Because there's no point in just reading and underlining. You have to understand things thoroughly and then do Pulse. Because Pulse is only PYQs. And in the back, you can see the descriptions. But it's better if you have a strong foundation, it's good. And for anatomy, as Dr. Aishwarya said, BD Chaurasia, Vishram Singh, and I have your mind maps. I always recommend students if they ask me, ma'am, what's a, because it's head and neck is very important for us. And your mind map has all the pictures. You need to have a very clear picture because, in fact, you're doing the same thing in BDC and Vishram Singh also. You're looking after the pictures. So that's a very good addition. If people want to do it last minute, it's good for them.
Great. So now that we are talking about anatomy, somebody asked specifically that what to study in upper limb, lower limb, and thorax, because that's something that most colleges don't cover. So what was your strategy there, Aishwarya?
Better answer very genuinely. I did not do upper limb, lower limb, and thorax.
Okay, did you get a question?
No, I don't think so. They mostly focus on the head and neck part. And when you go to upper limb, lower limb, and okay, lower limb, there used to be this median cephalic vein that usually comes near the ankle region. There's this important vein. So that was the only thing I used to remember from lower limb. Other than that, everything I did was head and neck because it's so vast when you go to thorax, upper limb, and lower limb, and it's not possible for you to remember every single detail about them. I used to see questions from the mock papers and just, for the time being, I used to try remember those answers with a mnemonic or something because we have not studied much about those sections in UG, and there was no point for me spending so much time on those areas when I'm not even sure if it's going to come in the exam or not. So whatever questions I used to see in the mock papers or in Pulse, if I find some questions, I used to try and remember them for the time being, mostly with a mnemonic. Other than that, in detail, I didn't really do other than head and neck.
Got it. Okay, so what to revise in the last 10 days? Now we are coming to last 10 days and last 1 day. So 2 months, yes, you know what to do. But what do you exactly do 1 day before the exam and 10 days before the exam?
All I did was papers. So you organize the papers in such a way, like if you have papers from say 2010 or 2015, you do the 2015 papers or 2017 papers in the beginning. And then towards the end, you progress towards the more recent papers because you get to know the pattern in which the questions are changing, the way they are asking the questions, how the focus is shifting. So that you do, and along with that, you do your mock papers from whichever app you have chosen. You do their mock papers because they will have a better idea of how the questions are coming. So you do the mock questions. You will have final mock exams, I think, once in 2 days or once in 3 days towards the end, especially in the last month and last 15 days. So you'll have just the enough amount of time to do those exams and then go through the exam questions. Just don't stress too much about the last 1 day. You just keep doing what you can do. And sometimes in the last 1 day, you feel like, okay, this is some topic that is on the tip of my tongue, but then I don't know exactly what it is. Such things you can go back and see. Don't overcrowd it, with information in the last day.
So Shivangi has actually asked a question saying, is it enough to do PYQ from 2020 onwards?
I would advise at least from 2017.
20.
Usually it's said last 10 years, but at least from 2017 should be good.
Okay, that's helpful. So if you could just describe, Aishwarya, your day that started maybe early morning, and how would you compartmentalize your day to ensure that you're having a mix of little bit of revision, little bit of mock tests, all of that?
So early morning when I used to start with pharma. Every morning I used to give half an hour to 45 minutes for pharma classifications. In the beginning, it used to be classifications, just classifications. Once I was a little bit thorough with the classifications, I started solving questions from Pulse for pharma, especially the previous year paper questions. So that I used to do in the first 1 hour. Then I used to choose some topic which would, require more of your energy, more important subjects, sort of like that. Let's say if ortho takes more time for me, I would do ortho in the first 3-4 hours, and then in the afternoon, I would keep for some subject which is lighter but won't put me to sleep. Something that you're interested in learning, sort of. It could be anything for anybody. For me, it used to be, minimal subjects like dental anat or pedo or even DM sort of subjects you do in the morning. DM, cons, endo, other sort of subjects you do in the morning. Then for afternoon, you keep for subjects that you like. Then in the evening, after like say 6 or something, you give mock exams. If you have mock exams that day, you do that, or you solve some papers. That's what I used to do. So 6 to 9, you just keep 2 hours. Don't take the entire 3 hours for solving a paper. Take 6 to 8, solve it, and then probably after dinner, you go through some more questions, either the exam questions that you just did, or the previous exam papers that you used to have, previous mock exams. That's how because at the end of the day, you're already tired. You can't do passive learning. To actively use your brain to either solve or just see what you've already solved. That's how you should divide the day.
Right. If anybody has any questions, just put it on the chat box. I'll make sure I connect it to the previous question. You spoke a lot about mock tests. So if you could explain the importance of these mock tests and how you would analyze these mock tests. Actually, I would ask Dr. Pratiksha to start answering this. And then if you have anything more to add, then you can take it forward.
No. I would like Dr. Aishwarya to answer this one regarding the mock test and everything. Yeah, because she has a better perspective in this, Palak. That would help students to understand things better, how to analyze it.
So mock test is important not just for questions, it's for your, it's for setting your mindset also, how you approach a question, how you approach the exam per se. So always, even if it's just a mock test, you try to calm your mind before you start the test. Like, don't be so anxious about the exam. Second thing is timing. You should make sure that you don't spend
I'll take care. Yeah.
you should make sure that you don't spend so much time on one particular question. Like if you go to a question, you will read a question. Let's say the question is so new to you, so you just try to take a guess in the first 5 seconds. If you can't, just leave the question and move on. Now, if you see a question that you're familiar with, but you're not able to recollect. So sometimes what happens is we tend to, spend like 1 or 2 minutes on a question and we still don't get the answer. So we get stressed. Don't do that. You look at a question. If it's familiar, you spend like 20 to 30 seconds maximum on it. If you're still not able to recollect, move on because that answer is eventually going to come back to you at some point. So just move on, come back to the question. Questions that just answer it right away. Be sure not to make silly questions, silly answers or silly guesses. That's the thing. And when you're analyzing, how you analyze this, some questions you would have guessed. Some questions you have really gone through an entire thought process. You would have put the answer, but you've gotten it wrong. That's because you are overthinking it too much. So that's how you analyze. You basically analyze the way you are answering, not your knowledge asset. Like you have done a lot of hard work in the past 8-9 months, so you don't judge yourself based on these questions. You just see how you have approached the question. Is it a right way, or should you change the way of approaching it? And just make sure you don't make any silly attempts or silly answers.
Right. So I think this is becoming a little heavy. We'll have a quick rapid fire before we get into a lot of questions that you guys have asked. So one book that you did not know but was helpful in your NEET preparation. I'm not talking about Pulse. If there is any other book apart from Pulse.
Well, this I don't think everybody would connect to, but then for dental materials, we used to have, those chinky notes. MCOTS people would know. So that was the notes that was made by our seniors, and we used to just use it as a shortcut. But then genuinely, those notes helped me a lot for remembering DM because everything was given in a very concise way. So if you have such notes from your college, you definitely go back to it because they will have all the apt informations in the right places. That's one book that I didn't know that I would require.
Dr. Pratiksha, do you have some?
Oh, there is one really good book, Palak, apart from Pulse. I think Dr. Ashwara must be knowing about it. That is Dentist. I did not know it's such a good book because everybody is reading Pulse, but it's a really good book if you want to go for the dental subjects. And we have a very funny question also in the comment section where somebody is asking a jugaad for ortho or general medicine. This is very unofficial. It should not be said on this platform, but for medical subjects, if you get access to coaching notes like Prep Ladder or Marrow, Rapid Revision, just take a printout of it and just do it. That's the answer to that question. Because it's easier if somebody doesn't have like good preparation or anything, they can go for this jugaad for medical subjects only, not for dental, because it's vast. Dental subjects, you need to have a good knowledge.
Okay. Aishwarya, do you have a jugaad for ortho DM?
I genuinely wish I did, but my only jugaad was making random mnemonics. I don't remember them now, but then the mnemonics used to be so weird. Like, not a lot of them because you'll need mnemonics to remember the mnemonics. That becomes clumsy. But all I did was, do mnemonics. That's all. I didn't have a jugaad. I wish I did though.
So, Aishwarya, again, a question on anatomy. What all to revise in anatomy?
So in anatomy, the important basic topics will be muscles of mastication. That is important. Then tongue, vessels and nerves, mainly nerves. You might get, like which is this division, which branch of which nerve sort of questions. And most of the clinical questions will be related to nerves, injury of this nerve, what is the patient manifesting sort of question. So nerves, muscles of mastication, and tongue is important. Other than that, larynx, something that I found was important. Those tables in larynx, you don't have to do every single detail of larynx. The activity of each muscle, the sound that it produces, such topic is important in that. And brain, CNS as such, if you're very inclined towards it, if you've already done it several times, then definitely go for it at the end. But I found CNS, if you spend so much time on it, then there's no guarantee you will definitely get a question from CNS. Do the synopsis, obviously.
Got it. Any tips for studying Pharmac apart from the one that you said where it's going to be the first thing in the morning?
Mac, you first have to be thorough with classifications. Have a basic idea, have it written somewhere on a paper or on your tab or anywhere, have it written. Then you start solving questions. Even if you're not completely thorough with the classification, then you do the question, go back to the classification, just look at it once. So every time you do a question, you look at the classification, you'll have an idea. And you will know which part is important. Like in skeletal muscle relaxants, not everything you need to remember. You have to remember certain things like succinylcholine, features of succinylcholine, sort of stuff, and things like diabetes. You need to know about insulin. So very specific things you'll find when you're solving questions, so that you keep on looking again and again at the classification.
Right. Somebody's also asked that now that the exam timing is 2 to 5, I think Dr. Pratiksha will also clarify about some exam changes. The exam timing now is 2 to 5. So what should we change in the daily schedule so that we are more prepared for what's coming on that one day?
Try not to sleep in the afternoon. Keep your brain more active because that's some time that we used to have lunch and then settle a little bit, take some calm study. But maybe 2 to 5, you try solving questions, You take instead of, I did it in the evening. Instead of doing it in the evening, the mock questions you try to do in the afternoon. Like you set your mind that this is going to be the time for exam. Don't do theoretical studying in the afternoon. Solve questions.
Guys, a lot of you have asked if we can share the notes of DM. We'll definitely do that. Okay. One second. Okay, sorry. So we'll definitely do that. We'll share the notes of DM with all of you. It also has neat pointers marked. So me and Aishwarya had discussed this a while ago. I think DM is a problem not just for her, but for like everybody. So DM and Pharmac are two subjects that we will ensure that everybody who's come in this webinar gets access to. Okay, so just make sure you communicate with us on the group. We'll give you the access to it. Okay. So one question that has come is how much time should a student spend in MCQ solving versus theory preparation in the last 2 months?
So MCQ versus theory, either do it 50-50, mostly 50-50 or 60-40, 60 for MCQs, 40 for theory, because when you're solving MCQs, you will obviously be directed towards some part of theory. So keep it 60-40, solve more questions so you don't get bored.
Just keep yourself entertained and give yourself that stimulation.
Just active learning, focus on, active learning towards the end.
Right. Anything for PhD, public health dentistry that you have to add? Somebody has asked.
Public health dentistry, I had notes from CDs. I was in CDs. So the CDs notes for public health dentistry was especially because there's no synopsis. And I don't think we have spent so much time in UG learning public health dentistry. So those notes were very helpful, and specific certain, chapters, biostatistics, epidemiology, fluorides, those chapters are very important. Fluorides especially is very important, and preventive dentistry. The, primary, secondary, and tertiary prevention for caries, for carcinoma, that I feel like you can expect a question from there. So those tables, fluorides and indices, not so much, don't focus so much on the years. Don't try to remember all the numbers that are given. But then, you should have a general idea of which indice is used where, who gave the indices, sort of thing. And biostatistics calculations, they will not ask. In general, They'll not give you very, difficult calculations as such. We didn't get it this time. So, and epidemiology a little bit.
Okay. You want to add anything, Dr. Pratiksha?
No, it's good. Dental pulse. For PhD, definitely dental pulse. People want Jugaad in the end, Palak. You have all the dental subjects Jugaad, I guess, according to me.
Yes,
So
yes, yes.
that is your
Yeah.
Jugaad for dental subjects, definitely.
At the end, Palak had given access to the mind maps towards my NEET
Yeah,
preparation at the
exactly.
end, and they were really very helpful to recollect, quick revision. You can definitely add it during the day, spend 1 hour in the mind maps, and it's very good recollection of what you've studied. Kind of pacifies
Yeah.
your mind.
Yes, so yeah. Okay. So how to prepare for grand test?
There's no specific preparation as such for a grant test. You don't specifically prepare for the grant test. It's just your entire preparation for all the 7, 8 months collectively. You just, recollect it during the grant test. It's not like one day before the grant test, you can go through all the subjects, or like 5 days before the grant test, you can go through all the subjects. You're just confident at the point of grant test now. You have given so many mock tests. So you just go for it. Don't sit and specifically break your head over the grant test.
So any tips for physiology and biochemistry, because everybody seems to struggle with these two?
Physiology is something that you do along with medicine. That's how I used to do medicine, physio together. Mostly like, medicine 1.5 days and physio the next 1.5 days. You can finish medicine physio in 3 days because it's a very, it's very repetitive. Once you do medicine, physio becomes a little easier for you. So physio just solve questions, not much from synopsis. When you do medicine, you'll get an idea and you can just solve the physio same way. Mainly subjects like hemat, renal, those are the things that you have to concentrate on. For biochem, you spend like towards the end, you just spend less than a day for biochem. What you do, don't go on solving every single question from biochem. Those tables that are given, like at the end of each chapter, in the answer section of each chapter, and in the synopsis, there are so many tables that are given, which is more than enough for biochem because that's where questions are mostly going to come from. They're not going to go so much into detail in a subject like biochem. The tables are you have to remember. It's compulsory to remember tables if you're doing biochem.
So since we are discussing all of these subjects, which was the most difficult subject for you?
Most difficult subject was, I think, DM.
DM? Okay.
Yeah, it's vast and it's materials.
Right. Right. So let's talk about a little bit on the exam stress. So how did you handle the exam stress and anxiety? Is there something that we all can do towards keeping ourselves calm?
Definitely. Just, you every day you need to do something that you like. You just don't study the whole day. What I used to do was I used to watch some 20-minute series, sitcom at the end of every day before I sleep. Or while I'm eating, I spend just 20 minutes. I used to watch Friends because it's just 20 minutes. So it gives you a relaxation or listen to music, go for a walk, have some fruit. I used to drink tender coconut every day to, and in the evening, just go for a walk, drink tender coconut come. So you do something that you like. And even I feel some month or something before exam, there was a movie that was released. And I went, I watched the movie. I came back. It's just you have to give yourself some break because there's no point looking at the book or staring at your tab when you're stressed. So rather take 1 hour, sleep. If you don't want to do anything, just sleep. Come back energized and then you continue. You have to remember that, if you're stressed, you're just wasting time. You could rather be doing something than be stressed and staring at the book.
Right. Yeah. Now we'll come to a very important question. See, whatever you do in these 2 months is one thing, but there's always a strategy that you have inside the examination hall. So you go with the mindset that if I don't know this answer, I'll not solve it. Or if I know this answer, I'll solve it. So any exam strategy for the exam day?
Yeah, like I said, if a question appears entirely new to me, I just skip it. I don't even, mark for later. I don't do that. I just skip it. The questions that I'm familiar with, but I'm not able to derive the answer or recollect the answer, that is what I do, mark for next or mark for future, whatever that is. And then the question that you can answer, you just answer. So you do this, initially you start with the dental subjects. So here, it's not mandatory that you start from question number 1. If you feel like the first 3, 4 questions are getting a little bit difficult for you, don't stress out. Just pick a random number. Go from question 50. Go from question 150. You can do anything you want because it's just online, right? So what I did in the exam was I was getting stressed in the beginning. So I started from the last question, then I was going backward. Then I started from the 50th question and I was going forward. That's the kind of thing you do to, you don't feel like there are so many questions left. Now it's just random, but you know what all are that. And then just always have time for revising. At least at the end you should have some minimum 45 minutes to revise medicine and dental. Give lesser time for medicine subjects and more time to solve the dental questions.
Super. How many mock tests should you give per week in the last 2 months?
For the last 2 months, now for this 1 month, we can stick to 2 mock tests per week. That's what I used to do, 2 mock tests per week. And towards the end, I think it can increase to 1 mock test in 2 or 3 days.
Okay.
Because you should have time to revise. It's not enough to just keep on giving questions. You should be able to see the answers and revise the answers. So
Got
if the mock tests have repeating questions, then it's fine. But otherwise, it's not like you have to do so many questions. You need to have time to revise the questions later.
Got it. Got it. Coming to the pattern, Dr. Pratiksha, since the pattern has changed, and I think if you can elaborate a little more on the pattern, I think everybody is having that question.
Guys, the pattern has not changed. I would like to give a quick review of the information bulletin. Okay. So, according to the bulletin, the pattern has not changed. It's the same. Part A, 100 questions, medical subjects. Part B, 140 questions, dental subjects. It's always written in the information bulletin that each subject will have 15 or 14 questions, but it always keeps on fluctuating. It's never consistent. Sometimes some subject can have 10 questions, sometimes some subjects are having 14 questions. And as physio and medicine has been blended, sometimes you feel like though physio was supposed to have 7 questions, but in the end, combined with medicine, it becomes a lot. And second thing is that there will be no time restriction like INI CET. INI CET is a very time oriented examination. That's why it's quite difficult also. For this, right now, no paper pattern change. So don't break your head. There won't be anything popping up in the end like now there's going to be pattern change, nothing like that. Stay relaxed. It's going to be the same only. Second thing, don't mark questions for review in the examination. I would like to say this to the students again and again because what happens is that sometimes you forget to review it, and these reviewed questions that you mark for review, they are counted. So in case it's a guess and you're like, okay, right now I'm guessing it, let me see in the next round that whether I'm confirmed about it or not. Just leave that question. You can guesswork in the end. Those purple marks that you'll be seeing on the screen, it's red, blue, and purple. So I would suggest don't put that purple thing because you will be very confused in the end what you did. So better to keep 2 colors, red and green. Red, I did not attend. Green, I attended. Don't keep it for review.
Okay. That's a very good tip, right? Eshu, is that something that is there something that you need to add here about the pattern change? Like they have just 50 questions, so how should they approach this?
I didn't hear you. Sorry.
There are only 50 questions. So the question is pattern has changed now. It's only 50 question session now.
In
So
a
how do you
session. Yeah. Each session is of 45 minutes, right?
I'm not sure.
It's in INI CET, Dr. Ashwarya, not in NEET MDS. NEET MDS pattern has not changed. It's the same.
That's
Not changed at all. Okay, this one's
No,
has
no,
what she-
not at all. It's the same. 3 hours and part A, part B, no time bound, nothing. It's the same.
nothing has changed. Okay. What to prepare to do in Red Book section provided from CDs?
Red Book section is quite hi-fi. So I did take the Red Book. There are previous year questions that you can do from Red Book if you don't have the access from anywhere else. There are previous year questions even that you can access from Red Book. Other than that, there are so many new questions that I did once, but then I never did it again because it was too much. You can do that if you're preparing for INI-CET. After NEET exam, when you want to solve higher level questions, you can definitely go for Red Book. But as of now, from Red Book, you can just access the previous year questions. That is all you'll need. You don't have to do so much of hi-fi questions as well.
Okay. So, I mean, I'll just suggest one thing, that Aishwarya focused on little, but she made sure that her little was very strong. So rather than just going and studying too much and then coming out and saying that I could not revise everything, her strategy was that she decided what she's going to do and she stuck to that little, made it very, very strong because of revision. So if you are in this state right now, don't focus on quantity, focus on that high yield quality, right? Don't go to the red book is what she technically means.
That's why I keep saying you don't have to do everything in so much of detail. So I keep repeating that sentence.
Yeah, and she got a rank of All India rank 76. So I mean, it's not like she is faking it, right? Okay. So there are some volatile subjects like microbiology and smaller subjects. So how do you go about those?
So, biochem, I already told you, do the tables. That is quite volatile. Then for microbio, the synopsis is very good, especially the bacteriology part. Most of the questions come from there. You know, those tables, the culture media used for specific bacteria, the classification of bacteria. I feel if you solve the questions, you can answer 90% of them by just doing the synopsis. So it's very important to be thorough in the bacteriology synopsis and then a little bit of viral and fungi also. So for micro, I felt synopsis was good. And then you go solve. That was for microbio for me. Biochem, then what was other volatile subjects? Pharma, I have already told you.
I think that's about it. DM, I would classify it as a volatile subject, but we'll help everybody out for that. Okay. I'll just share my screen to probably show what we mean by this. Is my screen visible, guys?
Yeah, it's visible.
Right. So, what
It's
we're
visible,
doing,
ma'am.
it's visible. Thank you so much. So what we're doing here at MediStudy Go is creating these kind of very last minute tools, right? Because you can't really study so much at the end. So just to give you an example of how to approach a subject like microbio, pharmac through MediStudy Go is that you will be given something called as a mind map, okay? So a mind map is supposed to be read from the central topic outwards, okay? And it's a very scientific technique that helps you remember faster because of the colors, okay? So let's take an example of bronchial asthma. So a mind map will show you a central topic and it will give you topics around it like definition, etiology, treatment, differential diagnosis. Now, if you are a NEET aspirant giving NEET this year, you will not look at so much, right? Because there is a lot of information that is here in one single page. What you will do is you will have a glance of this topic. Okay, I need to know certain points about bronchial asthma. So you will have a glance about it in a clockwise fashion, something like this, like what is bronchial asthma, how is it manifested, what are the confirmation tests, what is the treatment, what is the differential diagnosis, and pictures, right? Like you're not going to remember anything apart from pictures. So what happens in the body, what are the clinical features, you can summarize this entire topic in 5 minutes. But here comes the most important part where you're not supposed to look at so much. You're only supposed to look at the red colored pins. So can you see there are red colored pins over here? So these are basically your NEET questions, right? So if there is Staphylococcus aureus, there is one NEET question that comes from this particular part, that it is a golden yellow cocci grape-like cluster. So these are some keywords that you need to remember. So for subjects like pharmac, micro, biochem, physio, where you do not know, and when there is basically a little information that you have to remember, you can use NEET pins to skim over your entire subject, even for dental materials. Okay, so these are the red colored pins. You see, so you're supposed to go over 80 to 85 topics, but just the red colored pins. It should take you not more than 2 to 3 hours a subject. Okay, let's take an example of general medicine. So if you're talking about liver cirrhosis, it's a very important topic, right? So there are NEET pins over here. Now, these are the only questions that are coming from liver cirrhosis on this particular mind map. So these are all pinned over here. Okay. Something like clinical features again is very important. So this is an entire thing which is pinned. Yeah. So this is just a summary of how you should use this tool, but ensure that you're not spending a lot of time learning everything. You're only learning the red colored pins. Okay. Just go from pin to pin. Okay. I hope that solves a lot of questions that are there on the chat box as to how we are going to use this tool to ensure that we are only going pin to pin. That's the word that I'm going to use. Okay. Now I'd like Dr. Pratiksha to speak a little bit about your form filling and if there are any doubts related to form filling. Has everybody filled the form? Can you all just put thumbs up if you all have filled the forms? If there are any doubts halfway there. Yeah. Um, okay, there are still some questions coming in, so I'll just take that. Is 1.5 month enough for revision? How to divide days for different subject? Aishwarya, I think you should take that.
Days. Okay, I actually did write down the number of days that you can take for each subject. So, okay, let's see.
You all should all note down what she's saying, or I'll note it down and send a picture on the group.
That depends from person to person, okay? Like sometimes you might take lesser time than I have specified, or sometimes you might need a little more time. So, the number of days that you have left is like 56 days, okay? So, in that, you can do, let me start with oral path because that's my favorite subject. So, for oral path, you can take like 3 days because it's vast and there's a lot to cover and you have to do it properly. Then going to the other subjects, let's say for dental anatomy, you take just 1 day. For dental histology also, you just take 1 day, or collectively DADH, you take 2 days and you do it accordingly. Then for subjects like oral surgery, general anatomy, even for ortho, you take 2 days each. 2 for OMFS, 2 for ortho, 2 for general anatomy. For general path and general surgery, you can take 1.5 days.
General path and general surgery. Okay,
1.5 days. Similarly, for medicine physio, 1.5 and 1.5 days. You do it according to your convenience. In those 3 days, you try to finish those subjects. Then for DM and conso, so I would suggest doing dental materials and cons together because they have repeating topics in them. So again, take 3 days, maximum 3.5 days to do DM and conso together.
1.5.
Yeah, 1.5, 1.5. That is assuming that you have already gone through dental materials and then this is just a revision for you. Or you take one more day if you need. Take 4 days for DM and cons and you divide accordingly. Then for perio, take 2 days because they have a lot of chapters to cover in perio and the synopsis is also vast. And in perio, you can do the tables from synopsis, especially those numbers, like the width of junctional epithelium, number of days after the treatment has been done, healing period sort of questions. Perio. Then for radio, that is oral radiology, you do it with oral path. You take 1 day for oral radiology because you have good pictures for oral radiology. This extra oral radiographs, cysts and tumors, which you can connect with oral path and oral radio. That you do together. Take 1 day for radio. For subjects like endo and pedo, you can give 1.5, 1.5 days or lesser if you want because pedo is a very tiny subject. So endo, pedo, you can take 1.5, 1.5 days. And endo, you have topics like instruments and all. If you already have made notes for the instruments, then it's well and good. Otherwise, just do a little bit from the synopsis. Okay. Palak will provide with the notes. So you can finish it in 1.5 days with Palak's notes and do it thoroughly also. Then for prosto as a whole, CD, RPD and FPD, just try to give 2.5 to maximum 3 days. Because FPD is not a lot. FPD has very less content in it and they don't ask a lot of FPD. It's not very, very important. So FPD and CD, RPD, if you have already done it quite a lot of times, then it should not take you, time to revise. In CD, you see things like theories and the border movements sort of questions which are important. Those things you focus on. And what am I left with? Microbiology, you take 1 day. Mainly do the synopsis. 1.5 maximum if you're going to mix it with another subject. But 1 should be enough for microbio. Then biochem, I have kept only half a day. Because just the table shouldn't take you a lot of time. Half a day for biochem. Am I left with any other subject?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
And this oral surgery and general surgery, you can do it together.
Yeah. What about oral medicine? Because we covered oral radiology, but not medicine.
Right.
OP and OM are like together.
Yeah, I don't think this is separate oral medicine. You just do it OP and OMA together. Yeah.
Got it.
So when you count all of these days, you would be done with it in like 32 to 33 days, if my addition is not wrong. So now in 56 days, let's say you have finished all of these
How
things
about
in 32
pharma,
days.
ma'am?
Pharma is something ongoing. You have to do pharma every single morning, and other than that, you can take a day for pharma because you cannot spend an entire day on pharma. So other subjects you can still, spend an entire day or they divide the days half. But for pharma, you have to do throughout these 32 days, you assume you're doing pharma every single morning. 45 minutes minimum, 30 to 45 minutes. At the end, one day, if you're, really interested in pharma, you can try to solve the questions from Pulse. You can give a day for that. So that is like 33 days. So when you're done with this, you will still have like 23 to 24 days left in hand. In this, we are keeping the last, let's say, 15 days. Okay, keep a bigger amount. Keep 15 days for just solving papers, previous year papers, your mock question papers, and everything. Now you're still left with 9 days, which is a leeway space for you. Some days you can't stick to the number of days that you've given, so you don't have to stress about, now I don't have days. Now I'm left with this, but there's no day to cover. So that is the leeway that you have. 8 to 9 days is when you go back and finish the subjects that are left.
Got it. That was an amazing strategy, Aishwarya. Great.
Actually,
Um,
make your own timetable. There is no strict rule. You'll make a timetable and it keeps changing till the last 1 week. So don't stress about the number of days or timetable as such. Just cover everything. Make sure you cover everything that you want to.
okay.
Ma'am, could you
Um,
please repeat the biochem strategy once again, ma'am?
Biochem. You're muted.
Biochem, yeah. Biochem, initially when I used to study, we used to do the cycles from book or from notes, the entire cycles. But once you have an idea about the cycle, you start solving just the questions. Then when you solve the questions, you will see all the tables, especially just the tables in the back, because in carbohydrate, in a glycolysis cycle, there are ATP synthesizing steps that you need to really know. So those are given as key points in those tables for each and every cycle. For ketone breakdown, there are specific key points that you need to remember. So for biochem, I would say just remember those key points every single time. Don't go and solve all the questions or don't go studying the entire cycle. That will take up a lot of time. So just see the tables. Everything is given in those tables.
Got it. Great. There is also one more question that I'm an intern. I've taken CD 7 months back. Now I haven't completed theory videos only. So would you suggest me to do? Like, should I look at videos or should I look at Pulse?
If you are somebody who can learn through listening, just listening, then you can look at classes. But if you're someone who has to listen to classes, make notes, and then read it again for you to remember stuff, then I would recommend you to not spend so much time on those theories. If there are certain topics that you're not sure about, you want to see a staff teaching it, then you can refer those lectures. But otherwise, you would just, if you have notes, you just go through it, or you just with the basic idea you have, you go through synopsis and start solving the questions is what I would recommend.
Got it. Dr. Pratiksha, there's a question for you. They need opinion on AFMS option in the form. I don't know what that is.
Okay. So when you're filling the form, you always get this option that whether you're willing to take up a seat in the army dental colleges. So it's free of cost. There's no extra charge for it. If you are somebody who wants to participate in that, you have to just tick that option. Apart from that, you have to do nothing. And again, a subheading will open that what are you right now? So you have to pick civilian dentist. You are a civilian dental surgeon for now. Apart from that, you cannot put any other option because there are some students who have studied in these army colleges. They're eligible to put any other option. But if you are somebody who's a normal BDS pass out from a normal dental college like government or anything, you have to just put civilian dental surgeon and you have to mark that particular option. Apart from that, nothing specially there. Again, army dental corps, if you're looking for the counseling and everything, it's a completely different set of procedure in that case.
Right. Thank you. Thank you so much for that. Um, so yeah, what we are going to do now, as promised, is Dr. Pratiksha, would you like to speak a little bit about Career Mudra now?
Yeah, okay. So guys, I hope everybody must have seen that this video especially by Career Mudra and Medi Study go together. So Career Mudra is a edtech platform where we counsel thousands of students every year for every course, be it BDS, MBBS, MDS, and we specialize in MDS counseling because me, our founder, Dr. Sushila Agarwal and Dr. Aditya, we are dental surgeons ourselves and we have been counseling students from a long time. We have students in lots of government colleges and private colleges all over India, and we specialize in strategic counseling. Like it's not just some random counseling where we'll be telling you like this is the last allotment and you can go and get a seat according to that. It's going to be an one-on-one approach where you will be given the liberty to pick colleges based on your rank, based on your branch preference, and it's a very strategic counseling procedure which we offer from our end. So, if you're somebody who's looking to get into a government college or a private college for your MDS and you want your deemed branch, so you can definitely contact us where we can help you with the complete counseling procedure.
Yes. I would also like to add that Career Mudra has been very kind. So for all the notes that you guys are asking for, they are sponsoring 66% of the money. So whoever needs the notes, Career Mudra would be sponsoring 66% directly to MediStudyGo, and a small amount, about 400 to 500 rupees, is what a student will have to pay to gain access to all 19 subjects. So thank you so much, Dr. Pratiksha. Thank you so much, Dr. Sushil, for taking the initiative to do this at the last moment for the students. So any notes, whatever I showed you, DM, Pharmac, any damn subject with multiple choice questions is what they are sponsoring for all the students who have joined the webinar today. Coming next, we also have personalized one-on-one session. So I'll be creating breakout rooms where Dr. Aishwarya and Dr. Pratiksha will be there in each of their rooms. And you can go there, you can ask questions specifically in small groups, and they'll be more than happy to answer it. Also, in the main session here, we'll be having a few lucky draws. Winners of those will not have to even pay the difference amount. So 5 lucky winners here will not have to pay even that difference amount. So we'll be having that here, but I'll create the breakout rooms for them so that you can go, you can discuss in detail. You know, if you want particular subject, particular topic, Dr. Aishwarya would help you. You can go bother her as much as you want. Okay. So I'm just creating 3 breakout rooms where they'll be there. So I have opened the rooms. Whoever wants to go. So Aishwarya, you need to go in your room. Pratiksha, you need to go in your room. And people will come to you to answer their questions one-on-one. Okay. Right here, we are going to have so we'll be having a lucky draw here. I'm just going to share my screen for that. Yeah. Okay, so I'm sharing my screen and let's see who gets this right. So you have to be present here in order to win this prize. Is that person here? Just say hi or something if you're here. Aniruddha R, sorry. Okay, you're not here. All right. Not here. Okay. Hey. Okay. Ahathia. All right. And the last one. All right. So we've noted down the names and we'll make sure that we give you access. If you have any doubts related to the mind maps, I'd be happy to answer. And if not, y'all can go to the breakout rooms, ask your questions directly, and have a good time with the speakers.
How to go to the breakout room, ma'am?
There is an option called breakout room, which looks like a grid, like 4 small pieces of a square. If you click on that, you'll be able to see that there are breakout rooms. Are you able to see it? If you're on
No,
the phone,
ma'am, I am unable to see it. Is it
can
available?
you tell me your name? I'll put you there.
Okay, I am Arvid Lindblad.
Is that your name here?
Yeah, Arvid Lindblad.
Yes. Which room do you want to go to?
Dr. Aishwarya's room.
Aishwarya, sorry. Okay. I'm sending you there. Anybody else? Anybody else who's not able to figure out how to go to the room, I will push you there. I didn't get to know who's lucky draw. Yes, we will share the notes for everybody. I'll tell you, the 5 people who have won this lucky draw are Aniruddha R, Sharon, Rutuja Rathod, Ahatia, and Reni Sharma. Yeah. Yes, Dr. Bhavna, all the notes will be like how to get access to the notes. Today, we'll be able to give you access to the mind maps for whoever needs it today. Till exam, yes, it will be available for you till the exam. Yeah, any more doubts? Anybody who wants to specifically see a certain topic of the mind map, I'll be able to show that to you. And yeah, how to get access through email, yes. So you will be getting an email through Career Mudra and you'll get a discount coupon through which you will be able to access it. How to join that? It will be all explained on the email. How to now approach 50 days left with mind maps. Okay, so for all the people who are not there for the mind map explanation, I'll just explain it once again. Okay, so this one is specifically for somebody who asked Chavi for the mind maps. How do you approach it is if I were in your place, I will just go pin to pin. So let's take an example that you're doing a subject like microbiology. Then you're going to just look at this pin. So you're going to see Staphylococcus aureus. You're going to see, okay, contaminated with food, milk products, fish or meat. Okay, there will be some questions after this mind map on the app, which will have a direct answer from this pin. You'll just go look at that question, solve that question, move ahead. So don't read everything that is available. Try to only read the points, that is the pins. Okay, so these are all neat pointers. Again, when you come to Staphylococcus aureus, say lab diagnosis, you need to know about drug resistance, right? That's something that's important from the NEET perspective. It may not be important from your final year perspective, right? Or sorry, second year perspective. So in that situation, this is the NEET power pin on drug resistance. You will go look at that particular point and then just go ahead, solve the question. Okay. Similarly, for general medicine or any subject, whether it is prostho, endo, conzo, whichever subject you have not given too much attention to, just skim through looking at the pins. You will be able to solve most of the questions. At least 80 to 90% of the questions are covered right here in our mind maps. Yeah. Do we have any more doubts for me? Ma'am, can we get the recording of this session? Guys, the recording of this session will be uploaded on both YouTube channels of Career Mudra as well as of MediStudy Go. So once it's uploaded, we will let you know on the group. Is that okay? Also, Chavi, I would like to add, since you said that there are 56 days left, and if you're going through the mind map, exactly what Aishwarya said in the number of days, you keep that as standard. Mind map is just an additional tool that is helping you know the NEET point with pins. But that does not mean that your number of days of a subject changes. The number of days totally depends on how many days you have. So that strategy we've given you, you follow that strategy. With that, you can additionally use mind maps. Okay. Ma'am, mind maps are accessible after payment. Yes. This is only for the people who have attended the session today, where Career Mudra would be sponsoring a good part of your subscription. Okay. Yeah, I think I have solved all your questions. If there's anything, please do reach out to me. I'd be more than happy to help. And yeah. Test city center is full. And nearest state is also full. Nancy, do you mind going to Dr. Pratiksha's room? She will be the right person to answer it. No, it is not necessary to buy the mind maps today only. We'll give you a time of 2-3 days so that you can think over and then decide if you need it. How to access for mind maps, ma'am? Exactly. We'll put all the steps on the group as to how you can access the mind maps. All right. I think I have answered all your questions. Yes, it will be on the email, but we'll give you the password on the email, but you will access it on the app, on the mobile app, iPad, whatever. And you will have, how much is the payment for mind map? You just have to pay 500 rupees. 1500 rupees would be sponsored by Career Mudra today. If you buy it because you've come here. Yeah, thank you so much. Please thank Dr. Sushil. He's the one sponsoring everything today. Hello, sir. Are you there? Yeah. So Dr. Sushil is the founder of Career Mudra, and he's taken this step to help NEET students at this last stage. And he's been doing this for the last 15 years. So I thank him for taking this initiative, for doing this for all of you. Yes, thank you so much, sir. All right, have a good day, everybody. Whoever needs to go to the breakout rooms, please do and go back to studying. Thank you so much. Have a good day.
Wait, there's more. But before we go further down the rabbit hole, subscribe to our channel.